This is the John Hallett Podcast with John Hallett.
Because the way we're living, we need to change it, make a change today, and all learn from failure. Maybe they just wanted it a little bit more than you. That's probably the fact.
And now your host, John Hallett.
All right, guys, how are you today? I don't really feel like recording, unlike the rant that I put on Band the other day, tiptoeing around feelings and people not getting out there really is aggravating me on many fronts. Like, get out there and vote, man. Get out there and educate yourself, listen to stuff. I mean, I do. You guys know I love Joe Rogan. He said 2 or 3 good people on there recently, and, you know, former Democrats or still Democrats or, you know, old school Democrats, you know, talking about why they're not supporting Kamala and just some of the scary things out there. Man, does people stomping on your freedom of speech and, you know, demonetizing people's channels or videos on YouTube. This control, this social media stuff has got to stop. It's going to lead down to a really bad path. So, you know, get out there, educate yourself, talk about it. You know, it's never anything fun, but, you know, you got to do it. And, you know, get out there and look. We're talking today, though, on more of my main focus: martial arts, Krav Maga, self-defense, slow, deliberate, focused training, you know, accelerating your training with your partner. That's can be a big problem. We'll talk about that. Just working your defense. You know, Coach Nelson up at Minnesota Martial Arts was just saying, you know, defense keeps you in the game. We'll talk a little bit about that. And I got a funny kid story for you guys. A kid that felt his back was broken, or his spine. I forget what the little guy said. But he is a handful going through, you know, those boy growing up issues. He's been rolling his eyes at me. We've had several things in the last couple weeks that he's kind of done. And it's, you know, building good character and not letting these kids get away with stuff. I told him yesterday, I guess it was, that he could hit the door and I'd keep training his sister if he was going to roll his eyes and give me attitude when he was really accelerating his training on his partner. He was just trying to one-up the kid and go super fast, and everything the kid tried, he was accelerating. So that is a problem. A lot of times it's just fooling yourself. When somebody's going 10% on you and you bust it up there to 50% or even, you know, 20% faster than that person, it is an issue, man. Sometimes you're kind of fooling yourself how good you are. And that kind of ties into Coach Nelson. You know, defense, you are going to get hit. You're going to get hit, guys. It's fighting. It's not your birthday party, is what I told a kid's class or two this week. That, you know, wrap it around your head right now that this is self-defense and fighting. You are going to get hit. You are going to get smashed. There's going to be some pain and discomfort. Protect yourself and have this attitude that you're going to win the fight. You're waiting for your opening. You start freaking out and trying to defend everything, especially when it was an ambush style attack. You know, that is the thing. So many people think they're going to have so much time. When you get ambushed is the odds. I was trying to wrap that kid's head around, you know, look, it's no big deal that a guy tags you in slow touch sparring. It's a touch. Stop accelerating it and get used to getting hit and looking for the opening, or just protecting yourself so you can explode when the time is right, when you see that opening. But you've got to stay in the fight. You know, like Coach Nelson put it really well. You got to stay in the fight. Defense is going to keep you in the fight. Offense is going to win it. But if you go for offense at the wrong time, you're going to end up getting smashed. So please stop accelerating your training on your partner. It is hard to do. I know it is. But, you know, sometimes it's a little bit better slow than too fast and accelerating. You're going to get hit. Yeah, I know a big principle of Krav Maga is defend and counterattack, but you're not always able to do that. Sometimes you guys get carried away with that, and sparring is sparring. It is not a self-defense scenario. It is not, even bull in the ring scenario where somebody's, yells your name, hey Mike, and they're showing a punch coming at you. Yes, defending counter that. And what I say all the time, you might just be protecting after you got hit. Cover, protect, look for the opening. So that little guy, so at the end of class, I had given him to one of my enforcers in his class. This little guy, Wyatt, really fantastic control. And man, he's really good. He's a really good student. And he had dealt with him a week or two before. And the other day, he just handled him. It was awesome. And made him, I don't think he would tap out. I think he wouldn't do that. I think he was like, okay, stop. I can't do anything. I'm kind of deaf, so I couldn't quite hear what he was saying. But it was pretty fun to watch because he was getting humbled the entire time, getting rear naked choked and just pinned down and you name it over the course of 2 or 3 minutes. And when we huddled up, brought everybody in, he said, my back is broken. And I just started laughing. Like, if your back was broken, you would be on the ground. You would not be up. I'm like, you know what was broken? Your little boy ego. You just got handled. You got controlled. You couldn't do a thing against that guy. And man, was he accelerating. Oh man, was he trying to hit him even though we were just grappling. He was flailing his elbows, doing you name it at Wyatt. It was fantastic. And it's great to have good parents that back that up, because evidently he had the same problem. If you didn't hear the story about his lacrosse coach going, I'm going to move him up. And that's what I started doing. I was moving him up and giving him the older kids, because I noticed he was also trying to go after go partner up with the smaller kids where he could really dominate. So I kind of moved him up, and man, some of the older kids had a hard time. And that's the same thing with his lacrosse coach. Was like, great, I thought that was going to fix him, move him up, and he kind of loved it. I mean, the little guy is a warrior. So funny kids. They crack me up. It's one of the big reasons I fight the battle every day of being self-employed. Those kids are really rewarding. So that was my thing. I talked about free speech, accelerating your training, kind of touched on that a little bit. Coach Bill had a good one. If you're traveling down that road at 75 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour every day, slow down. That journey's going to be different. You're going to see a rock on the side of the road, you name it. When you slow down that training and not always accelerating, you're going to see little things, your elbow coming up in the punch, a terrible pluck against a choke from the front, an armbar choke where you're not plucking at the end of the lever. Slow it down. Don't always muscle it. Here's a thing I didn't talk about in the intro. Look, if you haven't heard us talk about it, in beginner Krav Maga, it is not the end. And sometimes people, yeah, I did Krav Maga. You did it for a year, great. That's, pretty darn good. But man, 5 years is something totally different, devoting yourself to whatever it is. There's so much more to beginner Krav Maga than, level 1. And even sometimes I look at my black belts and going, man, there's so much more, guys. There's so much more. And it's just experience. It's time. It's, I took 10 years to get my black belt. I wanted to be the best in the room, or at least in the top 3. And 5 years, that's a big difference for a student black belt. It is a lot of time in training, guys, and seeing different things. And, I listen to them talk and going, you got a long way to go. And same thing with a year of Krav Maga. You got a year to go. You got a year, but 6 months, some people are in it a month. What we're trying to get that person that comes in the door is to be aggressive, because that wins fights. Teach them to be aggressive and not back down. As Jocko says, default aggressive. That's what we try to do at beginner Krav Maga, but that's got to fade out. And you're here and you want to dedicate yourself to getting good. I tell students all the time for years and years, either slow down now, or at some point I'm really just going to have to stop you on a belt level and go, you got to stop now. You're not eligible to test on the next one. Slow, deliberate training, guys. Be focused in what you're doing. So many people are going through the motions, and it's disguised in your Krav Maga aggressiveness, and you're missing a lot. Control, or self-regulating, as we get from Todd Fossey at IDS. You've got to slow it down, guys. I see terrible punches all the time, elbows high, fundamental mistakes with your stance. When you're slowing it down, you can see these things, you can feel them. I can tell you over and over to do it. Hey, watch this. But when you continue to just go fast and aggressive, you're missing these things. I can be very aggressive, but slow and deliberate and focused on what I'm hitting and the body mechanics behind that strike. There's a ton more. Even I look at my first and second degrees, there is a ton more that you can get good at, and it's just time. You got to put in the time. You want to be able to capable fighter. I think in my rant, I said, you're not capable. So many people are just false confidence. They barely train it. They do a little bit. It's all about just being well-rounded and not being specialized. And self-defense is a different animal than competition stuff. Going in and doing competition, MMA, BJJ, Taekwondo, whatever it is competition based. We are street fighting. Somebody just asked me last night, do you have any Muay Thai or other classes? I've done some other things at other gyms. I'm like, no, what we're about is self-defense and fighting. If you're looking for another gym that's doing that stuff, that's freaking awesome. Go and train. If that's, what you want to do, you're going to be better for it, better than the average person. But we're all about self-defense and fighting and being well-rounded and getting ourselves out of there so we can, be there for our family, for our daughter's wedding, your son's wedding, grandkids, and all that stuff. So I could go on, but I'm trying to keep these guys short for you guys. Hey, if you want to support the podcast, check out suckless.co. We have not broken even on that little endeavor. And as always, you can check out our ClearSky.Training training portal. Tons of stuff on there for you to train online and brush up on your technique. I just, had a student say, hey, the instructor the other day just said this. And I go, yeah, hey, we've all got a journey. They were a bit off on that gun technique. So there's always refinement for all of us, myself included. And that's where Suck Less comes from. But you can support the podcast there, and also shop.rmsdf for all your RMS Rocky Mountain self-defense and fitness apparel, and shop.clearsky for all the Clear Sky stuff. And so there's a little mix up in there. So train hard, suck less, guys, and get out there and vote and educate yourself. And the gaslighting of the media is just enraging me. It's just ridiculous. The stuff that they do, and I'm really pissed off that all the people that got into this country illegally and getting stuff that the American people are not getting, our soldiers. We've given money to the Ukraine. How about educating our kids versus putting them in financial burden? It really, I'm sorry, the Biden administration and the stuff that they have done just pisses me off. And I'm still mad. I've been mad at every administration that they haven't done anything to fix this higher education problem, let alone elementary schools and the whole education system as a whole. And it's just ridiculous. And people voting on their feelings, and they're going to take away your guns, and half of that is just conservative BS. I don't think that's going to happen. It's just like them scaring liberals with abortion. Just get them focused on there. Hey, squirrel, look over there, distracting you from the big issues. These aren't the issues that we have and or should be talking about. There's just so much that is going on here, guys. Educate yourself. Stop burying your head in the sand, because man, it's going to come for you if you don't step up and be an American and vote and educate yourself and encourage others to get out there and do it.